And John, is John?
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Okay.
He was showing.
Welcome, folks. This is the House Corrections and Institutions Committee. It is April 21st. We're doing our final walkthrough of our section that really pertains to S14. We have Ben Novogroski with us, and Ben's getting settled. Our latest draft of the language that House Judiciary worked on with the council. I think it's called the council.
0.7.
Yeah, it's coordinated justice.
That's not the most recent draft anymore.
What's 2.7, right?
Yeah, we have 3.1 now.
No.
3.1.
Well, it got edited.
We don't have that.
3.1.
We don't have that
Is
computer.
it different from 2.7? We got 2.7.
No, 3.1 is just the edited version. So outside of some capitalization and
Oh, all right.
technical stuff, it should be the
Why
same.
did it go from 2.7 to 3.1?
Every time it gets edited, it gets.
Oh, all right. Okay. So let's go back to our committee webpage. And it was posted yesterday.
Can it be put up on the screen?
We need to start on.
I can,
I don't have it.
Phil,
Yeah, I'll make you.
if you invite me,
Yeah.
I'm at, oh, you're gonna share, I can share too, but you got it,
We
Ben?
don't have the draft. We don't have the
well, this,
latest.
I'm gonna be working off of 2.7.
You're gonna be working off of 2.7?
Yep, because
Okay.
substantively it's the same.
Okay. So we have that on our webpage of yesterday.
2.6 and 2.7.
Yeah, 2.7.
And it's draft 2.7. So Ben, it's all yours.
Okay. So the changes in 2.7, if you look on page 2, lines 16 and line through 18, you'll see that the Defender General and the Department of State's Attorneys and Sheriffs are added to the agencies that need to consult in and collaborate in the data collection report. You will also see that on page 4, lines 19 and 20, that there was an incomplete thought while I was drafting, and it will now read, instead of just substance use, it will be substance use disorder treatment. Then on page 7, which is, the Coordinated Justice Reform Council section in section 2, there was a removal in lines 13. It previously read that local community-based programs and services that leverage data collection systems consistent with Vermont's restorative, that's been changed to just say that are consistent with. The reason for is that they thought that it qualified the local and state agent and community-based programs to leverage those systems when they may not exist. So it was just to clarify it, and ultimately data use and collection and references to those systems is throughout later provisions of this portion. So just to clarify in the creation language.
And in this section, in our previous draft, 2.6, this whole section was highlighted because they had sort of changed this.
Right. And so this yellow highlight is just highlighting the differences from that section.
Right, so
from that
maybe you could go
previous
back
draft.
to the creation of it and how it's, and the reason it's being established is to unify and collaborate the state of.
Sorry, I've lost track of
I know.
who I've briefed and when I've briefed
We
them.
haven't been briefed on that.
Okay, sorry. So this creation section, really, you kind of have to read it in two ways. One, this first sentence just outlines that there's supposed to be a unified and collaborative approach to support state and local community-based programs and services in line with the restorative justice policy of the state. So it grounds that collaborative approach with that policy. Then the second sentence sort of supplements the policy a little bit to say that it shall use a data-driven approach to improve public safety, reduce correctional and criminal justice spending, and to reinvest those savings and redirect funding in strategies that foster desistance or decrease crime, delinquencies, and recidivism. So this essentially builds off of the justice reinvestment language and supplements it a little bit in addition to that unified approach that's based in restorative justice policy. You will see,
Number 6 is new in the next page.
correct, so that the Statistical Analysis Center has been bumped up to be a member of the council rather than just sort of a stakeholder that's consulted. And then also the powers and duties under subsection C were changed a bit. So now subsection 1 is to review and provide data-driven recommendations for the priorities and appropriations necessary to support a unified and collaborative state approach. So it was revised to connect those powers and duties to the creation of the committee and the underlying purpose of it. Also with subdivision 2, this was revised to read that all relevant government appropriations, reauthorizations, and allocations. So it ensures that the council sort of can look at everything that it thinks is relevant to this charge. And appropriations would be appropriations to the department, for instance, any reauthorizations made by justice oversight, and how the money is actually allocated to those various partners that receive that funding. You'll see on page 9 that the Office of Racial Equity and the Office of the Child, Youth, and Family Advocate have been added to the consulting stakeholders list. And again, there's been language added that just connects all the work and duties under this subsection to the creation and purpose of the council. So again, that you'll see there on line 6 and 7 that it ties to subsection A of the section. Same thing with subdivision 4, it's a new addition. So consistent with the creation of the council and its purpose, to consider opportunities and recommendations to establish sustainable planning and funding structures to administer these programs. Basically next steps. And there'll be a report that's tied to this. 3.1 actually says that any recommendations that the council may make would be in the form of proposed legislation. Subdivision 5 changes the date that the recommendations on spending be made to the commissioner to be September 1st. The commissioner testified, I believe, in House Judiciary that November 15th would be too late. So it's to make it so that the council's not missing the boat on the budget recommendations, and that you'll see that it's an appropriation of not more than $900,000 from the Justice Reinvestment 2 line item. That is to ensure that there aren't any sort of unfunded mandates to do this, and to account for any fluctuations within that $900,000 that is largely derived from the out-of-state bed savings that the department has committed to support these programs. So if a year that the savings dipped to $850, this language would enable that $850 to be committed without the department having to make up that extra $50,000. And again, tying it to the creation and purpose of the council at the end there. And you'll see that it's not only to support community-based programs and services like community justice centers or diversion programs or whatever, but also related data collection and analysis capacity, so that basically data systems can be modernized, like the department's OMS system can be supported through this. The assistance portion hasn't changed. You'll see here in the reports that reference that subdivision C4, that would be the proposed legislation for any of sustainable planning or funding structures, and then subsection C5, which is the funding recommendation. All this would go to the various standing committees and also now the Justice Oversight Committee. There's been an addition in the meetings portion under subsection F to limit the council's meetings to 6 times per year. Any compensation would be limited to not more than 6 meetings per year. And then also the terms have changed a bit. Right now, the chief judge, the attorney general, the executive director for crime victim services, and the director for SAC would have terms of 3 years. All the commissioners and the 2 commissioners of DCF and corrections and the legislators would have terms of 2, with their initial appointments to be a term of 1, and that's to align with the biennium and the appointments of those commissioners. So it's every 2 years, and then the 3-year terms is to provide a little bit more consistency if there's any turnover. basically to retain institutional knowledge of the advisory committee. And then, and so there was removal of the Attorney General and of DCF's commitments from this. So it's all starting with DOC, and there's been testimony to say that this is the starting point. Potentially, if the advisory council makes recommendations to bring other state agencies to help fund these initiatives, they could make those recommendations.
Right.
Any other
And
questions?
that's it. So
That's it.
because there's a council here being established, the bill will then have to go to GovOps.
I did a drive through at GovOps yesterday, and they gave their kind of straw vote blessing.
So is the bill physically gonna go to GovOps, or did they just do a drive-by?
I don't know. They just did the drive-by yesterday.
Goes to approach. I mean, judiciary.
Yeah,
It's already
they're
in
voting on it right now.
But it might have to go, it will probably go to approach after this, because there is money,
Yeah.
because you're setting up the.
Correct.
So are there questions? And a lot of this language Troy and Karen did work on. They did get rid of that special fund. They cleared up the council, what its really purpose and how the process is gonna work.
Apologize for my
Gotta go.
scattered presentation, but being pulled in a bunch of different directions.
You gotta go. And what about the letter? Is that done or not?
The letter's done. I'm just having our clerk kind of finalize the addresses, and I'll bring it up this afternoon for your signature.
Okay, so I'm gonna eat lunch and then I'll probably be heading out shortly after that.
Okay, if you
We'll
don't mind
see.
stopping by the mez before you leave. if you
Okay,
don't
I'll
see
stop
me.
by the mess before I leave.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. Don't
You
work
too.
too hard. Tournament's around the corner. 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
I may not make it there.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna be next week,
Next week, maybe.
maybe end of the week.
My wife's giving birth.
Oh,
Congratulations.
I know, it would be, the effective date would be after that.
There's an effective date, but we're not going there.
Hopefully, yes.
Good luck.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah, you're gonna need it. With 4 kids, you're gonna need it. Yeah, so we need to take a vote on this.
Yep.
I would entertain.
Instead of a straw vote.
We get, it's only straw votes. We don't do roll calls unless we're actually pulling a bill off the wall. It's been changed, Mary. Unless you're pulling a short form bill off the
Right, no,
wall.
I
you do a roll
I
call.
know the drill, but I just,
So I entertain a motion that we would support this language on S14.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please raise your hand.
Choices.
Yep, 10-01. So I will relay.
I didn't raise my hand, Madam Chair.
Oh, I didn't see it. So, sorry. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, all those opposed? So it's 9-1-1. So I will, thank you for.
Thank you.
I was looking more down the way. So that completes our work for today. Next week, we've got another bill that we're doing a drive-by S89, which is that state revolving loan fund for water and drinking, for wastewater systems and drinking water systems. No, John, I'm not ready to come home. He just texted me.
I thought she was talking to you.
No, not you, John, the one that's watching. It's, no,
I go, well, that's
I got more work to
getting a
do.
little
I need
familiar.
to go find the man.
Yeah, go find your man.
My real
Oh my
first name is Norman, but I.
Oh, God, that's my brother's name.
Gee, Norm.
Anyway, we have S80, which is that transfer of money from the clean water revolving loan fund and drinking water revolving loan fund, moving those federal dollars over to the other revolving loan funds, that those dollars can be used for privates, private wastewater systems, private drinking water system. It's might be connected to not raising fees. So I'm glad Ways and Means know about this, and Natural Environmental Committee knows about this. And Environmental Committee will be taking this bill up next week, so we'll have to weigh in on this. The one thought you might want to keep in your mind that someone raised to me is it's pretty open-ended, and there's no time frame. So one thought is maybe we do a sunset and review it, because it is pulling money out of that fund to specifically go to privates. So we might want to think about that and make that recommendation to the environmental committee. But outside of that, I think we're wrapping up. The capital bill will be out on the second floor next week. They're waiting for the appropriations bill to get done today. They said the capital bill is pretty much done. They're hoping to vote that out next Tuesday. So we should have possession of it at the end of next week. So by Tuesday, we will know, Wednesday, the latest, we will know definitely what changes. And then we're gonna figure out how we move forward. While work is tying up, Phil's working on some testimony for next week. And so we may have downtime, we may have a lot more time in committee, so we don't know yet.
Quick question, we're still getting a number of emails and requests for a representative to come in and further talk on issues. Are we doing anything in response back?
I'm not getting any emails.
I got one this morning again in regards to Representative Gina coming back in to discuss some of the further issues.
I know that they're wanted to go back to House Judiciary.
Right, they wanted that.
I haven't heard of anything else. Maybe we can follow up on that. I don't
You
know.
know, or if they at least confer with us or tell us what's. I've been getting some, emails from folks from Burlington to say, will we be looking to do this again and have more time to cover it?
I got one a couple days ago.
I
Did
got
you?
one today.
I mean, we worked through it.
I know, I'm just saying, I wasn't quite understanding why we were still getting emails.
Unless it copied House Judiciary, and we were in the loop. I don't know. Might be worth, you two just check that email and see who was sent over. Anything else before we finish up for the week and you folks can all go home, and I need more time to do work here, so I'm not going right home, John. Okay, we're done. Let's go off of you two. Thank you. Thank you, Troy. Well,